Okay, this next type of transformation that we'll look at is when the function is shifted either to the right or to the left. So you see here in our the general formula is that whatever you're plugging in, the input value, there's a constant that's being added to your input value. So let me draw a little graph here to give you an idea of what this would look like. All right. Okay, so let's say that we start with our general function that we start off with is f of x, and let's say this is just equal to x. So this is a linear equation that will look something like this. And basically any value that I plug in for x, let's say if this is 3, then the output, the corresponding y value that I get will also be 3. Now if I apply this transformation where I add a constant, you add or subtract a constant to the input value, it's going to shift either to the right or to the left. So let's take this function, and this time we'll say I'll let my constant be equal to 1. Okay. So the output, remember that the output value is going to be determined by whatever we plug in for x and then add to it. All right, that's what this output is going to be. So if I draw this this same graph here, it's going to look something like this. All right. So basically, if I plug in a, if I plug in a 0, then I have to add 1 to it, and so the output that I get would be a 1. So here, if this is my 0 here, then this value here is going to be equal to 1. And just to kind of back up a little bit, this first graph that I drew, if I plug in a 0, then the output is going to be 0. Now to kind of sum all of this up, the question that you will probably have to be able to answer whenever you're dealing with like a test or a quiz, or you definitely should be able to analyze a function by looking at whatever transformation is being applied, is what direction is your original function being shifted to, right or left, and then how far. So a general way to look at this is to say, all right, if I take whatever, I have x plus whatever this constant is. Okay, we don't know what it is yet, and we just set it equal to 0, and we solve for x. All right. So then you'll end up with x equal to negative c. So this is just telling you, now if you end up with a negative number, it's shifting to the left, and then whatever the constant is, it tells you how far that you will go. So in my example here, I had a x plus 1, and so we set this equal to 0. Like my constant, my c in this case was 1, and so this will give me x equal to negative 1. So if you look at my original graph, the blue graph, and then compare it to the second graph, this orange graph over here, it was shifted to the left by 1 space. So all the points on the blue line shifted to the left by 1 space.